Many years have passed since that story. Some events have faded from memory, while others have left a vivid mark in my mind forever. But regardless, today I want to tell you a very interesting story that I doubt I'll ever forget. Every summer I was sent to my grandmother's house in a small American town. Unlike most of my peers, I didn't enjoy staying with my grandma at all. First of all, I was a city kid and used to all the comforts of urban life, but here I was, in a town where there wasn't much to do, and I didn't want to part with my friends back home. But trips to Grandma's were never up for discussion. No matter how much I begged my mom or dad not to take me there, they just laughed and said, "Don't worry, you'll get a break from this city, breathe some fresh air, and your grandma misses you. So you're going, and that's final. You're going, and that's final," I'd mutter under my breath. I didn't have any friends there. What was I supposed to do? Maybe it was good for others, but for me, it was just sitting and waiting for summer to end. But the real reason I didn't like that town was something else entirely. People thought I was the grandson of a witch. All the local kids pointed fingers at me like I was an outcast and called me all sorts of names. Some of the more aggressive ones even threatened to beat me up if they saw me near the river. They said if I, the witch's grandson, swam there, they wouldn't want to swim in the same river. There were many of them, and I was alone. But at first, strangely enough, I did have one friend. His name was Billy, a chubby kid my age, whom everyone teased and called Meatball. At first he was friendly with me, would come over, and we'd hang out together, bored as we were. But then, when the others saw that one of their own was talking to me, they convinced him not to visit me anymore and told him all sorts of nonsense, supposedly from me. After that, Billy stopped coming by, so I had to spend the whole summer sitting in the yard, entertaining myself as best I could. And, honestly, I was afraid to leave the yard. Who knows what they'd come up with next? Maybe they'd say I couldn't even walk down the road, and then what would I do? But when Billy did come over, he told me why people disliked me so much, and it was a very interesting story. It turned out the issue wasn't really with me, but with my grandma. The kids spread all sorts of nasty rumors about her, blaming her for everything. And as I later learned, there were reasons for that. A long time ago, when my grandma first moved to that town, strange things started happening. Just a month after she arrived, half the livestock on the local farm died for no apparent reason. They'd come to the farm in the morning, and the cows would be lying there, dead. There were no marks on their hides, and no one could figure out the cause. But just before all this happened, people had seen my grandma near the farm. Naturally, the local farmhand who saw her wasted no time in telling everyone that that new lady, Betty, who just moved here, is a witch. In a town where nothing interesting happens for years, the news spread like wildfire, and soon everyone was talking about it. They'd come up to my grandma and say right to her face, "So, they say you're the one who killed all the cows on the farm, and that you're a witch, an outcast." But the locals didn't know that the dead cows were just the beginning of a bigger story. About 4 days later, they found that very farmhand, the one who'd been a little too observant, lying behind the barn, stabbed with a pitchfork. Naturally, there was an uproar. Who could have done such a thing? He was just an ordinary guy, kind, helped everyone, never had any enemies. But after the investigation, they didn't find the culprit, and instead of searching for the guilty party, People suddenly remembered my grandma, but no one called her a witch openly. They were afraid something might happen to them. After all, the one who'd spoken up was now gone. Instead, people discussed my grandma quietly at home, sitting in their kitchens and whispering about her. Our town hadn't even recovered from the recent events when two people suddenly disappeared without a trace. Again, there was panic. How could this happen? They searched for the missing, but never found them. And the strangest thing was, both disappeared from their own homes. Their housemates said nothing unusual had happened. They went to bed, and in the morning, they were just gone. One woman couldn't take it anymore and went to confront my grandma. They say she came in furious, like a dog, with a club in her hands, and started beating my grandma, shouting, "Witch, where did you come from? You don't belong here, and if you don't leave, we'll kick you out ourselves." She beat my grandma so badly that they say she was bedridden for a month and couldn't get up. Luckily, my grandpa was there to help. As soon as my grandma recovered, a string of strange events swept through the town. First, everything in people's gardens withered, and all the fish in the pond and river died and floated belly up. One night there were 2 fires. A haystack prepared for the farm burned in the field, and the local community center in town burned down, and the dogs howled so much those nights that people thought it was the end. Of course, these events weren't totally catastrophic. There was still some livestock left, and people had some supplies, so they didn't starve. But fear and anxiety settled in their hearts forever. The locals decided to deal with my grandma in a sneaky way. After all, if you tried to harm her, you might end up following her to the grave, taking the whole town with you. So they decided they would drown my grandpa, to make my grandma suffer, especially since she was pregnant with my dad at the time. The men invited my grandpa to go relax by the river, hit him on the head with a rock, and threw him into the water. They agreed among themselves to stick to one story. They hadn't seen anything and didn't know anything. Somehow, my grandma found out about this and rushed to the very spot where it happened. The men who'd done it hadn't told anyone yet and were still sitting by the river, drinking. They say my grandma ran up, fell by the shore, started grabbing the bloody earth, and howled like a beast. The men sitting there had no idea what to do or how she even found out. My grandma jumped up, glared at them, and ran along the river to find my grandpa. They say she found him. Some say he was dead, and she couldn't accept the loss and brought him back to life. Others say he was barely alive. But either way, my grandma nursed him back to health. When my grandpa came to, he learned 2 things from my dad. First, that the locals had almost killed him, and second, that there were more graves in the cemetery again. After this, the locals stopped bothering my grandma, hating her with a powerless rage, and my grandma didn't bother them. How true these stories were, I didn't know, and it was creepy to hear such things, because my grandma wasn't like that. She was kind. But Billy always said you couldn't believe every rumor in a small town, because if you sneeze on one end, they'll say you died on the other. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting on the porch, watching my grandpa polish his car. "Grandpa, why are you cleaning it?" "What do you mean? Why? We're going to the store soon." "Can I come with you?" I asked excitedly. "No, you'll stay with Grandma. We're going at night, when you'll be asleep." I grumbled, "But I want to go too." "Don't worry, We'll be gone a while, and when we get back, you'll be waking up. Maybe Grandma will get you something tasty." "That's not up to me. Talk to Grandma. She's in charge of treats." I dashed off the porch and ran inside. Grandma was in the kitchen, washing dishes. "Grandma, are you really going to the store?" She smiled and asked, "What store?" "Grandpa said you're going to the store at night and not taking me, so I wanted to ask if you could get me something." Grandma said, "Sure, I'll get you something, my dear." "Where's your grandpa? Go tell him he's an old fool." "Okay," I said, and ran back outside. After delivering Grandma's message, Grandpa grumbled under his breath while working under the hood. "Grandpa, what store are you going to at night? All the stores are closed." "This one's open all night," he said. "That's why we're going." "Too bad I can't go with you. I'm bored of sitting around." "Then go for a walk," he said. "I don't know why you sit in the yard all day." "I just don't feel like it," I replied. I never told my grandparents how the locals treated me. It was my secret. And if Billy was right, my grandma could stir up trouble I'd regret. So I just went inside to watch TV, the only entertainment I had. I watched TV until evening, then Grandma came and asked, "When are you going to bed?" "Not yet," I replied. "Come have dinner and then go to sleep." I went to the kitchen, where fried potatoes, milk, and white bread were waiting for me. While I ate, Grandma gave me instructions. "Billy, tonight your grandpa and I are going to the store, and you'll be home alone. Don't open the door for anyone, no matter who comes. If you get hungry, there are cheese pastries under the towel on the table. If you hear noises from the attic, ignore them and stay calm. And don't go up to the attic." "Okay," I replied. The attic was a place I never went. I wasn't even allowed on the stairs leading up to it. Once, I tried to peek through the keyhole, but a grandma caught me and scolded me like never before. So I promised myself never to do it again, so I wouldn't upset her. But Grandma often went up there and could spend half a day inside. I didn't know what she did there, as she'd just say she had things to do or change the subject. The attic itself didn't interest me much. Sometimes there were noises, but mostly it was quiet. But now, when Grandma told me not to go up there, I realized this was my chance. I knew where the key was, usually hidden in the closet under some rags on the second shelf. As soon as Grandma and Grandpa left, I waited 5 more minutes to be sure they wouldn't return, turned on all the lights in the house to make it less scary, and went to Grandma's room for the key. With trembling hands, I opened the closet, reached under the rags, and found the key. I quickly went to the stairs leading up, looked at the door, and, heart pounding, took my first steps up, breaking Grandma's only rule. At the top, I inserted the key and turned the handle. What I saw amazed me. The attic was filled with things everywhere. In the center stood a strange, ominous stone altar. It was a huge slab with mysterious objects on it, and above it, a horned creature loomed, reaching its hands toward the slab. I stepped inside, holding my breath. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind me. I panicked, thinking I'd be stuck until Grandma got home. But the door opened easily. My curiosity was stronger than my fear, so I didn't go inside but examined the attic from the doorway. Besides the altar, there were other interesting things. A huge old book by the wall, the floor covered in strange symbols and circles, bundles of dried herbs hanging from the ceiling, and more. But something else was hidden behind the altar, and I was too scared to go look. It seemed The horned statue had shifted its gaze from the slab to me. I decided not to risk it, closed the door, put the key back, and tried to act as if nothing had happened. After what I'd seen, I couldn't sleep and sat up watching TV until morning. When Grandma and Grandpa returned, I got scolded for going to the attic. "So, Billy, you went to the attic after all?" Grandma asked. I didn't lie and just said yes. "I knew it," she replied. "So, did you see anything interesting?" "Not really," I answered vaguely. "Well, you saw it, so you saw it. Here's what I'll tell you. It's a bit early for you to see that, but don't tell anyone about it, okay?" "Okay," I said, relieved I wasn't punished. "Come on, let's go to the kitchen. I got you some treats." I rushed to the kitchen, where Grandpa was unpacking a bag. Besides my fruit and a few packs of salt, there was nothing else. Usually, Grandma bought enough to last a month, but this time there was almost nothing. I went to ask Grandpa, who was outside by the car. "Grandpa, why didn't you buy anything at the store?" He stopped tinkering with the car, looked around and said, "Well, we got you treats, didn't we?" "But you went for more than just treats, right?" He came over and sat next to me. "Billy, Grandma doesn't want me to tell you this, but if I do, promise you won't tell anyone. You already went up to the attic and saw some things, right?" "Yes," I whispered. "Then listen. Your grandma, Billy, practices black magic. All those rumors are true, and what Billy told you is true, too. Don't think she doesn't know what's going on. She knows everything. She knows the local kids don't like you, and she's just waiting for a reason to take it out on them. You not telling us anything isn't an excuse, but I get why you do it. By keeping quiet, you keep trouble away from those kids. If you ever say something's wrong, your grandma will fix it in 10 minutes. She's kind and caring with us, but with outsiders, she doesn't hold back. If she ever offers you her power, don't accept it. Only trouble comes from it." I didn't know what to say, so I asked again about the store. Grandpa grimaced. "Billy, the store we went to isn't ordinary. I've never been inside, but your grandma told me all about it. It looks like a regular store, but it has no windows. You can't find it unless you know where and when to look. It appears only at old crossroads where something terrible happened, and only for one night. That night, all sorts of supernatural beings go there to shop. There's everything: herbs, ancient things, skulls, teeth, you name it. But you don't pay with money, you pay with human souls. Some souls aren't worth much, but others can buy almost anything in that store. I don't know how it works, and I don't want to know. That night, the strongest witches come, those who have ruined many lives, and they shop there." "Where do they get all this stuff?" I asked. If I knew. And what happens if a regular person goes in? I don't know, and I don't want to find out, no matter